You will hear a tour guide talking about the Pitt Rivers Museum in Oxford. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 17. Listen carefully to the first part of the talk and answer questions 11 to 17.
Hello everybody and welcome to Oxford. I hope you had a good night's sleep and a hearty breakfast and are ready to explore this wonderful city. Our first port of call will be the Pitt Rivers Museum. I think I just saw one or two of the younger members of the group roll their eyes. Not another boring old museum, you're thinking. Let me assure you that it's not like any other museum and it's far from boring. It's full of weird and wonderful artefacts that you'll find fascinating. So first, let me tell you a little about the man and then the collection. The man who gives his name to the museum wasn't born a Pitt Rivers. He was born Augustus Henry Lane Fox in 1827 and took on the name Pitt Rivers when he came into a large inheritance from a distant relative, George, the second Baron Rivers, though he wasn't exactly poor before that. In his will, the second Baron Rivers made it a condition of acceptance that Augustus always signed his name Pitt Rivers, either alone or in addition to and after his surname Fox, which I suppose made him Augustus Henry Lane Fox Pitt Rivers, quite a mouthful. This inheritance made him a wealthy landowner, though, as I said, he wasn't poor before that, coming from a well-off landowning family himself. This would guarantee an income for life, but, as a younger son, couldn't look forward to anything more substantial. Little is known for sure about his upbringing, except that it seems he was mostly educated at home by private tutors, which was not unusual for children of his class in those days. He also went to the Royal Military College at Sandhurst, but was there for less than a year, so there's no saying what he got out of that. He did, however, serve in the army after joining up in 1845 for close to 40 years, until, that is, he received the inheritance from Baron Rivers. Now, given the size and nature of his collection, you'd expect that he travelled a lot all over the world, that he was some kind of an Indiana Jones character. The truth is far less exciting. He didn't travel much during his army career, spending most of his time as an instructor in musketry, about which he wrote a book, and administrative work, such as the running of army camps, supplies and so on. He did, however, spend a brief time on active duty in the Crimea, where he took part in the Battle of Alma. But that was the only military action he saw. He also rose through the ranks to become a major general by the time he retired. It should be said, though, that, as was common with men of his social standing at the period, that he bought or had bought for him by his family all the ranks up to lieutenant colonel. This was the highest rank that could be got this way. At this point, aged 40, he semi-retired on half pay for the next 6 years, which freed him from military duties. In 1873, he took up full-time soldiering again, retiring at the age of 55 in 1882.
Now you have some time to look at questions 18 to 20. Now listen to the next part of the talk and answer questions 18 to 20.
What about the collection then? Well, As the poet James Fenton wrote, "Yes, you have come upon the fabled lands where myths go when they die." We are not sure when he started collecting, and facts about how the collection developed and expanded are hard to come by too. What we do know is that he collected household objects, ordinary everyday items such as clothing, jewellery, children's dolls, voodoo dolls too, though not for everyday use, as well as fine art specimens, which give us an insight into the daily lives of people from many diverse cultures throughout the ages. It is the largest collection of archaeological and anthropological artefacts in the UK, and it was the ethnographic collections which really grabbed the public's attention in his day. And some of the exhibits, I'm sure, will grab yours. There are the mummies, for example, from different cultures, just in case you thought only the ancient Egyptians did it. For those who like the macabre, there are the shrunken heads from countries in Central and Southern America. But it's best to just browse and come across your own amazing discoveries. What is known is what Pitt Rivers wanted his collection to be and do. He emphasised that it was not, as he said, for the purpose of surprising anyone, though it will do that, but for the sole purpose of instructing and educating people. The way the exhibits are arranged is not conventional either. The collection is arranged thematically, according to what the objects were used for and how, rather than according to age or origin. This allows you to see, as Pitt Rivers intended, a progression in design and evolution of human culture, from simple to complex. This display of many examples of a particular type of tool or weapon or household object, showing historical and regional variations, is another way in which this museum is unusual. Right, off we go then. Oh, I should point out first that entrance is free. However, there is so much to see and the number of artefacts so large that it is worth getting a map or an audio guide to the museum. It's only £2 and is packed with fascinating information. Also, for those of you with children, there are special activities and tours to keep them entertained, and they can even make their own versions of some of the objects on display.
That is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Now turn to section 3.